Hey everybody! So today we're going to talk some about beliefs and truth in the natal chart and where to look for this. Specifically about this particular piece. I'm going to talk about the ninth house and also briefly about Jupiter and Sagittarius, because all of these parts of the chart do have an affinity for beliefs and truth. Now, depending on the chart that you're looking at, beliefs are important to everybody, but for some people, they are more important than others. And if you see a lot of planets in Sagittarius, or you see a lot of planets in the ninth house, or you see Jupiter is a major player in the person's chart, notions like belief and truth might be a bigger deal than they might be to somebody else. I mean, they're a big deal to everybody, but depending on what chart you're looking at, they may or may not be the biggest thing to take into consideration. Also, these different things can mean different things than just beliefs and truth, but I do think that beliefs and truth are a big one for Jupiter, for Sagittarius, and for the ninth house. So we'll start out first with Jupiter, just quickly. Jupiter, a planet is what energy needs to be expressed. The sign is how the energy is expressed, and the house is where or what area of life. So Jupiter is a planet, so Jupiter is what? Beliefs. Well, we're going with that here. So depending on where Jupiter falls in your chart, by house, it might give you an idea of the area of life or where those beliefs come out. And then the sign that Jupiter falls in might give you an idea of how those beliefs come out. And then the aspects that Jupiter makes will help to flesh everything out even further. Also, Sagittarius. Whatever house cusp Sagittarius is on in the chart, oftentimes that house has a belief or truth-seeking flavor. It doesn't always have to go that way, but it can. And I wouldn't rule it out when looking at a chart that it might go that way. And then any planets that fall there will have that flavor, and then that house will be flavored that way too. Or it could be. It could be. Now, the ninth house is another place that you would want to look for this. The ninth house is a lot of things. It's a lot of things. You know, it can be higher education, places of higher education or academia. It can be higher courts. It can be abstract ideas. And it is a religious and metaphysical house, but I think here, and I'm not saying that it's not, it certainly is, and it certainly can be, but when you're looking at the ninth house, I wouldn't think of it as solely a religious thing. Not starting out anyway. I would think of it as beliefs and truth and places perhaps where these are found. I think sometimes religion gets too harped on here, and it's really more about beliefs in general. Now, if you see other themes in the chart that show like a religious-y flavor to this, then by all means go with religion. But we could also be talking about philosophical beliefs. We could be talking about political beliefs. We could be anything that somebody believes. I would think about that falling in this house, and it might not always be a religious thing. Sometimes it's even the absence of belief with Jupiter, with Sagittarius, and with the ninth house. Sometimes it's an absence of this. So I wouldn't rule that out either. So we'll do a couple examples with signs on the cusp of the ninth house. And then most importantly, because I do think that looking at where the planetary ruler of a house cusp falls in the chart helps to flesh that house out even more and flesh the chart out. We'll look at that too. So let's say you had, let's say you had Cancer on the cusp of the ninth house. Beliefs and truth, whatever those are, they might be more family-based, or they might come from one's family. That doesn't necessarily mean that somebody likes this or doesn't like this. It just means that they could. This isn't universal, by the way. I mean, it may not go this way if you've got Cancer on the cusp of the ninth. It may not go this way for you, but it could. Perhaps there are beliefs in intuition. That's always possible. Beliefs in nostalgia also seems possible, or in reminiscing, something having to do with that. Beliefs in motherhood or in parenting, perhaps even having opinions about this seems possible. Beliefs in protection or in nurturing too. Those also seem like they might tie in with beliefs here. Let's say you had something like, also with Cancer, because Cancer is a moodier sign, the person might have moodier beliefs. Like the beliefs that they have, they might not be as firm or as consistent. That's also possible, just because Cancer is more moody and changeable. There's a changeable quality to it, so beliefs might kind of fall under that banner too. They could. Let's say you had let's say you had Capricorn on the cusp of the 9th house. You might be looking at somebody whose beliefs, they're more disciplined, more rigid even. They could be a little bit more limiting or restrictive. Though you'd want to look at everything going on in the chart, because it doesn't have to go this way with Capricorn. It could also be like their beliefs have a sense of authority to them, or even mastery. They might have a responsibility to their own beliefs. That also seems possible. It depends on everything else going on in the chart as to how this might actually come into play. Maybe the beliefs are more, Capricorn can be a little bit more conservative, but I want to be careful when I say that, because I don't necessarily mean conservative like politically. It could be, because I would say political beliefs fall here too, but more traditional in nature, perhaps. That might be it, or conventional even. That might be a better way to put that, so there's not the political tie there always. you know. So you might be looking at something like that with either Cancer or Capricorn on the cusp of this house. So from there, then, you would want to look at where, like, let's say you had Cancer on the cusp of the 9th, you'd want to look at where the moon falls in the chart. Moon is the ruler of Cancer, so you'd want to look at where the moon falls in the chart. That will give you an idea. I'm not actually looking at a chart here, so I'm not going to go into like a full analysis because I'll start getting confused. But let's say you have the moon in the 2nd house. When I see the ruler, regardless of what sign is on the cusp of the 9th, when I see the ruler of the 9th house in the 2nd, self-belief, there's a self-worth, self-value, because the 2nd house deals with this. The beliefs that one has in the 9th house really do need to feed the person's self-worth and self-value. I generally find this to be very important. It doesn't always have to go that way, but it does tend to be very important. Whatever they believe in does need to give them a sense of self-worth, self-value. If it does not, that tends to be a problem if they don't kind of line up. If you had, say, the moon in the 4th house, that might back up, and you have Cancer ruling the 9th, that might really back up the family angle of things, because the 4th house does deal with like home and family too. If you have the planetary ruler of the 9th house in the 4th, it feels like it would back that belief in family, or taking beliefs from family. It feels like it would back that up even further, though again, it would depend on everything going on in the chart as to whether or not that's a good thing, a positive thing, or a negative thing, easy thing, or a challenging thing. It would just depend on everything going on. Let's see, let's say you have Capricorn on the cusp of the 9th house. That would, planetary ruler of Capricorn is Saturn. So let's say you had Saturn in, I don't know, let's say you had Saturn in the 11th. So that would mean that beliefs, like, and depending on which way Capricorn goes, based on everything else in the chart, if you had Saturn in the 11th, that would mean that the beliefs from the 9th house will kind of bend to, they might bend to like long-term goals. So the person having belief in their long-term goals is probably important, actually believing that they can, achieve them. Beliefs could hinge a lot on groups of people or on friends. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not such a good thing. It just depends on everything else going on in the chart. But you might be looking at the 9th house themes are going to tie in and bend to or bestow their power to the 11th house in this case. Same thing with like, I don't know, let's say you had Capricorn on the cusp of the 9th house and Saturn fell in the 9th in Capricorn. That's going to cause all those themes with Capricorn on the cusp of the 9th house to be driven home even more with Saturn falling there in Capricorn in the 9th. Yeah, it's going to just kind of ram all of that home even further. So anyway, definitely something to look at. I think a very important way to look at the chart, or to at least take into consideration, because like I said before, you may not always find that this is a major theme for somebody, beliefs and truth and seeking truth. It may not be a massive theme for everybody, but I would certainly take it into consideration and not focus so much on one type of belief, but on beliefs in general. Not just the religious or metaphysical thing, but in beliefs in general. Anyway, I'm going to get going. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us at Let's Fuck With Astrology. I'm at Saturn Season Astrology on Instagram. Natalie is at Abaturno Astrology on Instagram. If you want to like or subscribe or whatever the fuck people do with videos on YouTube, you can find us by searching for Let's Fuck With Astrology in the YouTube search bar. If you're already watching this on YouTube, you can like and subscribe below. If you do the Reddit thing, come join us on the subreddit Let's Fuck With Astrology. And if you're interested in the star cards, go to letsfuckwithastrology.com/star-cards. Okay, y'all. I'll see y'all later.